All right. Hey guys. Um, this is going to be a new video for you to watch today on Tuesday, and this is all about um, understanding this thing called the theory of evolution. Um, I don't think it's in your science textbooks. I looked for it to see if it mentioned it at all or if it tried to teach it in any way, but I couldn't see it. Um, So, because of that, I thought I would kind of take an opportunity to kind of explain to you what it is, because for tomorrow, this theory of evolution, is a pretty important topic in American history, and you'll read about it more um, on Tuesday. But this is obviously something, well, you may have heard of it before, but it's obviously something that a lot of people disagree with, especially Christians. Um, but I wanted to take an opportunity to kind of explain to you what it is, because I believe that if we want to disagree with something, you should at least know um, what the other person is talking about. You should at least know what this stuff is in order for you to, uh, to disagree with it. You got to know what you're disagreeing with. So, with that in mind, this is goes into what's called the Scopes trial, and you'll again read more of that. Um, But this theory of evolution, I'm going to go through it and kind of talk about what it is, and I in no way am telling you as a student to that you have to believe in this, or that this is truth, and if you don't believe it, then you're wrong. I in no way am saying that. I just think that people should understand what this is, so that they can know how to disagree with it if people so choose to do that. So with that in mind, this theory of evolution. Well, what is a theory, first of all? A theory is an idea that explains something and is generally accepted by people. Um, so a theory isn't necessarily truth. It's not necessarily proven, but it just is something that explain something why it is. Um, like for example, when you look at gravity, gravity was a theory for a long time, um, or I guess it still is. But gravity explains why objects fall to the ground. Um, so this theory of evolution again is just, or a theory is just an idea that explains something and is usually accepted by people because it makes sense to scientists. All right. So this theory of evolution, this helps people understand how all living things come to be the way they are today. For example, why does a horse walk on four legs and have a long snout while humans only walk on two legs and have a nose? People who kind of look at living things like plants and animals, they kind of ask themselves, well, where did these living things come from? How did they get to where they are today? How does humans evolve or develop into what they are today? Now, Christian would say, well, God created them that way, and that's true because that's Christians. You, me, and your families, we believe that. But to scientists, they have a different way to understand how all living things came to be the way they are today. Um, so what you see in green here, this is the definition of evolution. And again, you could go up on any website or ask a scientist, and this is the kind of definition that they would give you. But evolution is defined as a as a change in physical traits that can help a living thing adapt to its environment, survive, and have more offspring. So what that means, like a physical trait would be something like, oh, I have long arms, or a physical trait may be like, I'm skinny, or another physical trait may be, this guy's fat. Those are all physical traits. But there are certain physical traits that can help a living thing adapt to its environment. Adapt just kind of means like change. It's another word for change. And if you think about certain animals and why they're able to survive in a particular environment, well, there's things about their physical appearance or a physical trait that helps them survive. So, for example, penguins can survive in the Arctic because their bodies allow them to survive. They have a thick layer of muscle or of fat or something like that can protect their bodies from the cold. If you or me went to the Arctic and if we tried to survive in the Arctic, we couldn't, because our bodies are just not suited to live in that kind of environment. If we tried to live in the Arctic, we would most likely die if we didn't have the right equipment or right tools. So if you think about that, another example is the chameleon. And if you don't know what that is, you can just go up online and just look it up. But the chameleon can blend into their environment and hide from their predators. They can change the color of their skin, and that makes them able to survive in their environment. Those are physical traits. The physical trait of their skin being able to look like the rest of their environment. And because of that, they can hide in their environment, and they can hide from predators or other animals that want to eat them. And because animals can adapt or change into their environment, they're able to have more offspring, and that's just another way of saying they're able to have more babies, pretty much. If lions can survive in the desert, if they can survive, then they're most likely going to produce more lions. That's just what happens. And it's okay if this idea is a little bit confusing. I just at least wanted you to be introduced to it, so you kind of know the basics of it. But if you ever have trouble understanding what this idea is, just feel free to ask me questions. But that is basically the definition of evolution. There's also a couple other things that I want to show you. Evolution, this is something else that evolution teaches. It also teaches that living things can come from a common ancestor. So let me kind of explain what that is. Think about you and like your brothers and sisters, and maybe like your cousins, or maybe your aunts and uncles and your parents. You could probably understand that all of those people come from a common ancestor, and that means maybe everybody in your family comes from like your grandparents or your great grandparents or a great great grandparent. And that's kind of the idea of what a common ancestor is. And in the evolution, it just says that all living things, like different types of animals or different types of plants, evolution teaches that they all come from a common ancestor. All life comes from one living thing. And so this means that many living things today, if not all living things today, are very much related. You could think about dogs and wolves. Those are different animals, but they seem to have a lot in common, and that probably means that they come from a common ancestor. That means that they are really related. Uh, Other types of animals, maybe like different types of insects, maybe like different types of ants, they all come from a common ancestor. And those are related. There are different types of birds, but they all probably come from a common ancestor. And there's also a thing like where humans and monkeys are closely related. In evolution, in terms of scientists, they say that that is true, that monkeys and human beings are very closely related because they share a lot of things in common. But again, that's under the theory of evolution. With that, that is a basic understanding of evolution, and it's okay if there are some parts about it you didn't understand. It's okay. But I just at least wanted to introduce you to it if you haven't heard of it before. I'm going to stop this video and then I'll pick up with another video.